Hello.
Yeah, your screen is visible. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fine. So is this presentation visible? All right. I just unshared and going on mute now.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Nibha from Skill Up, right? So we'll just wait for a couple of minutes and then we will start the webinar. Yeah, hi, Rishabh. Hi, Swati. Yeah, hi, Vikas. Hi, Arun. Hi, Ashraf. Hello, Rakesh. Yeah, hi. Hello, everyone. Yeah, hi. Hi, Pratik. Hi, Suyash, Vignesh, everyone. Yeah, I think somebody is asking if we are going to record the session. Yes, we will be recording the session and we'll be sharing with you. Uh, Aditi Kumari, are you not able to hear anything? Hello? Okay. Thanks for confirming. Many of you are saying that you are able to clearly hear us. Okay, I think there are a couple of people who are not able to hear. So I think there's a red button that you can see on the top. If you click on that, you will be able to reconnect and the page will get refreshed. Can you try that once? Also, please check your internet connection as well as your audio settings. Sometimes it might be just turned off or something and you may not be able to hear. Alok, I think you're not able to hear. Can you try? Uh, Thanks for confirming. Those who are able to hear us clearly. I think most of you are able to hear us clearly. Um, Manjunath, as of now, your session we will be starting. We have not yet started, so another couple of minutes we'll be starting. Yeah, Shiva Shankar, yes, yes, the session will be recorded and it will be shared with you. Yeah, thanks for confirming. Those who are able to hear. Okay. Yeah, hi Saravana. I think we can start the session now. You can give a small intro about yourself and then you can get started. So over to you, Saravana.
Sure. Thank you, Niva. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. Guys, please confirm whether you're able to see my screen. So, very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this AWS webinar series. So today we are going to talk about AWS basics. And so before that, I'd like to get a confirmation from you guys that is my audio clear and you're able to see my screen. All right, fantastic. Before getting into the agenda, let me start with a quick introduction about myself. Then we'll jump into the agenda. Then we'll move on the session. So, myself, 𝗦𝗸𝗶𝗹𝗵𝘁. I am a full stack solution architect, consultant, and technology trainer, specialized in cloud computing, big data analytics, microservices, and DevOps stack. And overall, I have around 14 years of experience as a software developer, solution architect, technology consultant, as well as corporate trainer. And over 5+ years of experience I have with cloud computing, especially with AWS. And last 4+ years I'm into the corporate trainings. So overall, I have conducted around 100+ hands-on training sessions on various topics, ranges from cloud computing, big data analytics, microservices, DevOps, and Java full stack. Over 1,000+ participants across 25+ corporates. So currently, I'm working as a director of software engineering at RAM Software Engineering Labs, and involved in mix of consulting and product development, corporate trainings, as well as conducting public workshops. And prior to the current stint, I was working with Genpact and iGate, currently now is Capgemini. So this is a brief introduction about myself, and let's get into the agenda for today's webinar session. So actually, we planned a series of webinars on AWS with the intention to give you a kind of a bootcamp session on AWS, get a introductory level knowledge on what is AWS or what is cloud computing, and what are the basic services are available. How do you work with AWS, right? And so with that, and today's webinar session, we are focusing on understanding about what is cloud computing, and getting an idea about what is AWS, and what are the different services it offers, and how do you work with those services, right? And we are going to see a live hands-on session with the AWS services. And probably in today's session, we will try to register a AWS account. We'll see few services in action, right? And also today we'll talk about what are the different career paths you have in AWS, and what are the different certification options are available, and why it's relevant for us, and why do we need to learn AWS, what kind of benefits it's going to bring onto the table, right? And finally, we will just have a Q&A sessions, and in that, whatever the queries or clarifications you guys required, seeking for, we'll try to address that. So guys, please give a quick acknowledgement to proceed. All fine? Please ping me over chat if you're all set. So let me get in. Fantastic. Okay. Let's try to understand what is cloud computing. Okay. So, so basically, if you look at the definition perspective, so the cloud computing is on-demand delivery of IT resources and applications via internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. What does that mean? So it's as simple as that. If I want a computer, like I want a server with so let's say so I want a computer, or I want a workstation or server, whatever you call it, with a specific configuration. For example, I want 4 GB RAM and 2-core CPU, and let's assume like I would require 5 GB hard disk. Okay. Normally what we do, if it is a personal computer we look for, we will procure that. Either we can buy a laptop or we can buy a desktop with whatever the configuration you're looking for, right? And in that, what we require, we need to procure that hardware, and that hardware with the specific configuration, like 4 GB RAM, 2-core CPU. Maybe it's like Intel i5 or i7 or i3, depends on whatever the processor capability we want. And the hard disk again, so depends on whatever the configuration looking for, 500 GB or 1 TB or 2 TB. And you can actually buy that. So the hardware you can buy, you can assemble, or you can get it, or you can buy as a laptop. And so that's from a personal use perspective. From a company point of view, like if I'm going to build an application, I want to deploy an application in a server, uh, probably I want a slightly better configuration. Instead of 4 GB, I'm looking for 16 GB RAM, and I'm looking for 4-core CPU. Okay, and I want a better hard disk, probably like 2 TB, right? So again, like in your project for deploying your application, you require this kind of server. What we require, we need to raise a request to the IT team, so they will procure, and they will install the required operating system. For example, if I'm required a server with Windows operating system, so you can get this hardware. On this, you can install the OS. So the operating system could be Windows, or it could be Linux or Mac, whatever we required, right? Um, so in cloud, what we are going to get here is, so you don't need to procure any hardware. Instead, it's more like a pay as you go. So what does it mean? So for example, for my personal use, I required a machine which is a 4 GB, 2 core, and 500 GB of hard disk. All you can do is I can go to the cloud provider. Hey, say I need this machine with this so and so configuration. Please give me. So you can able to get your machine with the configuration you are looking for up and running in a fraction of minutes, right? And similarly, for your like an office use or for your company use, for deploying your application, I need a server with so and so configuration. All you need to do is you can just approach the cloud provider, and you can just specify, this is the so and so configuration which I'm looking for, please give me a server. So you'll get a the virtual server with the requested configuration. So what is the advantage of that one? So the advantage is you don't need to buy or make a heavy investment of procuring this server. So there is no upfront hardware cost here. So instead, I can just subscribe, or I can just take this virtual machine as a service, and depends on my usage, I can like pay. For example, if I'm going to use for 10 hours, I can pay only for the 10 hours usage. So depends on the configuration of the machine, there will be a charge on hourly basis. For example, I'm just telling like if per hour, if it is like 100 rupees, if I'm going to use 10 hours, it's just 100 rupees. Okay. So if I'm going to use for like 500 hours, you can just multiply accordingly. So it will be 100 rupees if I'm going to use 10 hours. So if I'm going to use 20 hours, 200 rupees, and so on. If I'm suddenly looking for, I want to upgrade this machine from 16 GB to 32 GB, and 4 core to 8 core, or let's assume just 16 GB to 32 GB. If it is like the server hardware we have, what we need to do is we just need to procure another RAM, and you need to attach in your server, and there is a set of installation procedure you need to go through. If it is a cloud, all you need to do is, I earlier had an instance, a virtual server with 16 GB RAM. At any moment, I can go and say, hey, see, I want to upgrade my server from 16 GB to 32 GB. So in a fraction of a minute, you can able to get your instance upgraded to 32 GB. And similarly, if I want to upgrade from like 2 TB to 10 TB, so in a fraction of minutes, you can able to do this upgradation. At any moment, you feel like so the moment you are upgrading, then so depends on the upgraded instance, the charges will differ. For example, the upgraded instance, the charge may be like, let's assume like 20 rupees per hour. Then if I'm using 10 hours, it's going to be 200 rupees. So in that way, it's going to be calculated. So if I'm continuously using, the charge will be more. If I'm going to use only on like a need basis, so I can pay only for what I'm using. So I don't need to spend upfront like 50,000 or 1 lakh, right? Or 2 lakhs to procure a server or a workstation to enable like to deploy my application to or enable my development team to work with the computing resources, right? So that's a kind of flexibility which you can get from a cloud computing, right? So now and similarly, at any moment, I can able to downgrade also. For example, I'm facing a like I deployed an application during the month end, so that usage of that application is going seems to be very high. I need more RAM or more CPU, and after that spike is over, I can actually downgrade my system. For example, from 32, I can able to bring it up to 8 GB. Whenever I want, I can able to scale up or scale down. That's the kind of flexibility I get. So the moment I'm going to scale down, so the application which is running there, it's the same, but the flexibility which you'll be getting is the cost will be reduced. The moment I'm changing my instance to like 32 to 8 GB, so it will become like 20 rupees to, for example, 5 rupees. So my the overall the spent on my servers, it's going to be less, right? So this is the flexibility which we will be getting with the cloud computing. So now you read this definition, you can able to relate it better. So cloud computing is on demand delivery of IT resources. So when I say IT resources, it's going to be your the the servers or workstations. So where I'm going to have like if it is going to be a server which is going to comprise of a RAM, CPU on the hard disk. So all these things I can able to get it on demand. Okay, and how do you access these machines over the internet? Okay, with pay as you go pricing. So over the internet, these machines will be accessible, and you can basically like pay as per the usage what you have. So that is the like the crux of cloud computing. Okay, so how, so it's a more formal definition. So I just read it once just to get a little bit more relevant idea. So cloud computing is an information technology paradigm, a model for enabling ubiquitous access to shared pool of configurable resources, right? So basically here, what happens when I'm going to build a cloud platform? So underlying the cloud platform, I would be having multiple hardware. So I would be having, for example, so if you're aware about the virtualization, which is happening at a single machine level, so in one server, I can create multiple VMs, right, with the help of virtualization concept. The same concept applicable in the cloud platform also. For example, if I'm going to have 4 different machines with the different configurations, for example, I have a machine with um, like 4 GB each. Let's assume I have 4 different servers which is of 4 GB. Okay, so this 4 so total 16 GB I'll be getting. Okay, and so I have 4 different servers which is going to have 16 GB of RAM let's assume each one has a two cores. So I'll be getting total 8 cores. Okay. So what the cloud platform is going to do is it's basically going to create a virtual layer on top of these physical machines. Let's assume this is your virtualization layer. What this virtualization layer is going to do is it's going to pool all these 4 servers together, right? So individually, if I'm going to use, I can utilize only 4 GB, right? And 2 cores. And here what happens is I can able to pool all the 4 machines together. So I'll be getting a pool of 16 GB, right? Pool of 16 GB RAM and 8 cores, 8 CPU cores. And so this what this cloud virtualization layer or a cloud providers are doing is they are providing a like a self-servicing portal from where I can able to create the VMs as I require. So currently I have a pool of resources which is of 16 GB and 8 cores. Out of this I can create 2 instances of 8 GB RAM. So this is like if I'm going to create like this, I can create 2 instances of 8 GB RAM, 4 core, and disk is separate. You don't worry about the disk. So it's what we can do is from these 4 different machines, this cloud platform is actually pools all the resources together and virtualizes those hardware resources. On that virtualized hardware resources, I can able to create virtual instances as per my requirement, like 2 8 GB instances, or I can create one 16 GB instance, or so if it is a 16 GB 8 core instance, one instance I can create. Okay, otherwise I can create like if it is going to be a 2 GB RAM, I could easily create so total 8 instances of 2 GB RAM. Okay, so this is a kind of flexibility I can get. So from a pool of resources, I can either create 8 2 GB instances or one 16 GB or 2 8 GB instances. So that is a cloud provider which brings onto the table, right? And what are the key characteristics of the cloud computing? As I mentioned, on-demand self-service. So here, like once you have a pool of this like a 16 GB RAM 8 cores, I need to create the virtual instances on demand as per my requirement. So that on-demand self-service is one of the key characteristics. And the broad network access. The moment I provision this particular instance, which means once I created one 2 GB RAM, one 2 GB virtual instance or a VM, I should able to access this VM over the internet. So that should be accessible either from a desktop or a laptop or a mobile from a varying different network, different clients, from a thin client to fat client. So that is a broad network access. And the other important characteristics is resource pooling. So the cloud platform should be capable of pool the resources from this underlying hardware system and virtualize and enable to create the VMs. And rapid elasticity. What does it mean here is currently I am running 8 instances of 2 GB RAM. So suddenly I want to scale this 2 GB machine to 4 GB, okay, or from 4 GB to 8 GB. So that scaling I can able to do out of the box easily, like from 2 GB I can able to easily upgrade to 4 GB, or from 4 I can able to upgrade to 8. And whenever the load increases I can do this scaling. Okay, and similarly when the load decreases from 8 GB I can bring it to 4, from 4 I can able to bring down to 2. So that rapid elasticity is going to be there in the cloud platform, so that I can able to scale out or scale in, right, on need basis. Then the other important characteristics is going to be measured service. So what does it mean? Like whatever the VM which we have created here, so depends on how many hours I am using. So this will be measured or metered. If it is going to be a VM, it will be measured in terms of how many hours it's up and running, and every hour there will be a charge associated, and depends on how many hours it's running, the charge will be calculated. Similar to like how your mobile tariff calculated, or your electricity or water bills are calculated. It's more like a utility service, right? Depends on the usage, you will be charged, right? So these are the key characteristics of the cloud computing platform. So if you look at the overall perspective of how the cloud would look like, so as I mentioned, at the bottom of the cloud provider, you would be having a network of physical servers. So I will be having, in this example, I showed network of 4 physical servers, which is having 4 GB RAM. So what I will be getting, a resource pool of 16 GB RAM and 8 core, if each of them has a 2 cores, right? And but in real, for a big cloud providers like AWS, they have like thousands of servers interconnected across different geography, different regions, right? So you won't have any maximum limit on how many servers you can able to create. You can actually say, I want to create an instance with 128 GB, or I want to create an instance with 256 GB, or I want to create a thousand instance which is of 32 GB. You can able to get all those things in a matter of minutes, right? So that's a kind of a scale which the cloud platform offers to us, right? So the bottom layer of this entire stack is going to be your physical servers, it connected together, and that the virtualized the pool of resources will be available, and from here I can able to get the VMs, right? So basically we have 3 different cloud models, right? So we call it as a IaaS, or a PaaS, or a SaaS. When you say infrastructure as a service, it's nothing but I'll be like offering the VMs as a service. That means using this cloud platform, you can create a VM, like I mentioned. You can create a VM with a so-and-so configuration with the specific operating system installed, so that I can able to use, I can able to connect, and I can work with that particular instance, right? So getting your uh, like infrastructure as a service, it's nothing but getting your server or workstation on demand. You call it as a infrastructure as a service. Okay, so here you have more control. So the next model is going to be platform as a service. So what does platform as a service means? So you don't need to basically like take care of, so in this particular case, so we need to take care of managing the operating system and installing the other applications and everything. For example, I'm building a web application using a Java stack. What are the minimum softwares I required? I need an operating system. It could be either a Windows or a Linux or a Mac, whatever suits for us. Then I would require to install a JDK or JRE, right? Then on top of that, I need to install some web server like a Tomcat or a JBoss if it's going to be a web application. Okay, so minimum these 3 different softwares I would require. So in this first model, in the infrastructure as a service, so I would be getting a VM with the pre-installed operating system like a Windows or a Linux. Okay, then once I connected to that, you can install a JDK, or we can install first we can install JDK, then we can install Tomcat or any other web server which suits for us. Okay, then whatever that application which we built, we can deploy in that server. Then we can able to access that application over the internet. That is a step which will be followed here. Whereas if you are going for this model, platform as a service, so in this case, I need to take care of installing the Java and installing the web server and managing and maintaining those softwares. So in this model, platform as a service model, so you would be getting an instance which is pre-installed with an operating system plus the required application runtime. For example, if I'm going to build a Java based application, so I would be getting JDK as well as a Tomcat. Okay, let me. So JDK and Tomcat, you can able to get pre-installed as part of that instance. So what is an advantage of that one? You don't need to worry about installing and managing those softwares. And also in case your application requires a database, so I can get an instance which comes with pre-configured Java and web server as well as a database, for example MySQL or Oracle. So whichever database I require, it will comes with all those things pre-configured. All I need to do is you just focus on developing your application. You just deploy your application there. That's all. The underlying runtime to run your application will be provided as a service. So that's what we call it as a platform as a service. So first one is infrastructure as a service. Second one, platform as a service. Then what is the third one? So third one is more like you don't need to build any application. The application is already there. You can just subscribe and use. For example, if the Gmail or Google Drive, or if I'm going to for any ERP application like Zoho ERP, or you're going for any like the CRM applications, Salesforce. So those all those softwares is already available, and you can able to just subscribe and use it directly. You don't need to build anything. So you'll get more control when you're going to use as a when you're going to follow the infrastructure as a service model, and you will be getting a lesser control with platform as a service model, but the overhead also less. And the case of a SaaS model, you don't have any control there, but you kind of get a flexibility of just using the service which you required. For example, I want a CRM application, like a CRM application. So you don't need to really build the CRM application and manage those softwares related to running the CRM application. It's already available as a Salesforce. I can just subscribe to Salesforce, I can use directly. So that is the concept here, SaaS model, right? So, and so these three different computing models can be deployed as a different cloud offerings. Like I can go for a private cloud. When you say private cloud, so what are the concepts which we learned here? I can just use only within my enterprise. For example, in my enterprise, I have multiple data center. So I can just create a private cloud on top of the data centers which we have inside my enterprise, and I can able to create the instances on demand, on the fly, using the kind of a self-servicing portal which I have. So this is going to be very specific to the company or a particular enterprise. The other cloud deployment model is going to be public cloud. So in the public cloud, anyone can able to like go and create the VMs. So you can, so basically in all the three different models, you can able to get all these three different computing services like IaaS or a PaaS or a SaaS, right? So if I'm going for a public cloud, I can, for example, AWS is one of the public cloud provider, right? If I'm going for an AWS, so I can just go and say, you create me one VM there, and so anyone can able to create a VM, and so that VM can be accessible over the internet. So this is like the public cloud is open for everyone. The The private cloud is a closed cloud. It's accessible only within the enterprise. Then another deployment model we have called community cloud. So in the community cloud, so it's more like I'm having a group of banking group of banks. So the banks just want to build one network within their group of banks, so that they can able to share the computing or infrastructure platform within the banks. So in those cases, you can actually build up a community cloud which is accessible only within the members which is there in the community, right? So it is something like intermediate between a public cloud and the private cloud. Okay, then you have another form of cloud like a hybrid cloud. So hybrid cloud is something like so you can basically like have a cloud setup which can be a mix of multiple things, a mix of private or public, or a mix of on-premise and any of this public cloud or a private cloud combination, right? So these are the different cloud deployment models. So who are all the major players here? Public cloud, AWS and Azure and Google Cloud Platform. So those all major players in public cloud. Again, a private cloud, you can, so Azure is playing a very major role there. And so these are the different computing service model which we discussed earlier. So if you look at the matrix between the different computing service model versus the cloud deployment model. So I was talking about the three different deployment models are there: public cloud or hybrid or a private. Okay. So if I'm going for a private cloud, so the flexibility is more because I will have more control on my like so the control and governance on the private cloud will be more because that will be managed and owned by us, by the company or the enterprise. Whereas the advantage of the public cloud is economies of scale. The cost is going to be comparatively less in public cloud, but you would be kind of having some compromise on the governance and control which you'll have, because the cloud provider will completely take care of the controlling or managing the cloud platform. So in the public cloud, so it will be more cost effective, but you'll have a little bit less control on the underlying the cloud infrastructure. The private cloud, it's costly, but if you're looking for more control and governance, that suits for our need. The hybrid cloud is something like intermediate between these two. So it's a mix of both the private and the public cloud. And when you have the different the computing service models, right? IaaS or a PaaS or SaaS. So so as you're moving from IaaS to PaaS to SaaS, the level of abstraction increases. So if I'm going to use as a IaaS service, so you'll get more control. You will be directly logging into the machine and you can install your softwares and you can deploy your applications. You have complete control as if you are having your own workstation or own server, and you're connecting to that. You can do whatever you can do in that machine. When it's going to be a PaaS machine, it's like you will not have access to your underlying operating system or underlying software installed. For example, if I'm going to deploy a Java application or a .NET application, the underlying runtime will be coming as a pre-configured instance. So I don't have much control on upgrading those versions or making changes on those underlying installed softwares. But what I would be getting is, so you'll be just getting access to deploy your application. Okay, so you don't need to worry about the administrative overheads. Instead, you can just focus on your basically the application development and just making your application hosted for others to access, right? So it reduces the administrative overhead. Okay, so here there is a bit of more administrative activity like work we need to do, but it brings more control. And here the less control, but it's kind of you're getting rid of the administrative activities or more of the management activities. And when you move to SaaS model, you don't need to even develop an application. So here in the first IaaS, I need to develop an application, I need to provision the infrastructure and deploy the application, managing, administrating everything I need to take care. In the the PaaS model, so you will be just taking care of developing the application and deploying that application. The provisioning the infrastructure and managing the infrastructure and the other required softwares will be taken care by the service provider. If it is a SaaS model, you don't need to develop any application, no development activity at all. The application is already there. You'll just subscribe and use it. So the level of abstraction is going to be pretty high in SaaS model. Okay. So whereas in the IaaS model, the flexibility or the control will be more higher, right? So always it's kind of a trade-off between your level of abstraction versus your flexibility. So it depends on which you are looking for. We can choose which type of service I can go for, whether IaaS or a PaaS or a SaaS. And similarly, so depends on like what you're looking for, whether you're looking for more governance or control or cost. So depends on that, we need to decide whether I need to go for a private cloud or a public cloud, or I need to settle for a hybrid cloud. So most of the enterprises are currently running on a hybrid model. They are not like either pure private or a pure public. So most of the business critical applications are more regulated applications running in a private cloud, whereas the other the normal applications where they can save the cost, they will be deploying into the public cloud. So they will be creating a hybrid cloud which connects both, right? So this is just to summarize of these different computing models, whatever we discussed. So if I'm going for an on-premise server, I need to take care of underlying networking. For example, I have like a provision creating a server where I'm going to deploy my application. So you need to take care of the networking, storage, and the virtualization, operating system, and middleware, runtime, data, and application deployment. Everything would be taken care by us, right? If I'm going for a cloud, I have three different options. Either I can go for a IaaS model, or a PaaS model, or a SaaS model. If I'm going for a IaaS model, so the cloud provider would manage these services like networking, storage, and like provisioning the server and create doing the virtualization of the servers. Everything will be managed by your cloud platform provider. And whereas I would be getting an access to like that operating system and installing the middleware on the other runtime, setting up the database and deploying that application. So all those things will be taken care by us. Okay. Whereas when I'm moving on to a PaaS model, and so this installing the runtime, middleware, and operating system, everything will be taken care by the service provider itself. All you need to focus is just managing your data as well as your application. If it is a SaaS model, everything will be managed by the service provider. So you all you need to do is just subscribe and use it, right? So these are the different computing service models we have. And so what are the key pros and cons of a cloud computing in overall? So the advantages or benefits, we can able to scale easily and it's cost effective compared to your on-premise setup. And encapsulated change management, right? So it's basically like I can able to upgrade the versions, or I can able to upgrade the instance types at any moment. So I don't need, so that is completely abstracted and encapsulated. And it uses the cutting edge architecture, next generation architectures, and you'll get more choice and agility there, so that like I can able to easily switch from one type of instance to another type of instance, and you have a lot of configuration options where you can able to say I want the machine with so and so configuration. You can able to easily get, you get more agility and choice there. And what are the other downsides of a cloud computing? So it brings in a vendor lock-in. For example, I have created a set of VMs using AWS. So migrating that VMs from AWS to an Azure would be a challenge. I can't able to directly do that. Okay, and so that brings in a vendor lock-in. For example, if I build an application which is more specific to a particular cloud provider and moving then my application to a different provider, it's a little challenging currently. And the reliability, so reliability in the sense like if the infrastructure is completely managed by the cloud provider, if so the server goes down, what will happen? So we don't have any control. If it is our own data center, I can able to just go like our infrastructure team can go and look into the problem and try to resolve. But here when I'm going for a cloud, we don't have a control. We need to rely on the cloud service provider. But they ensured nowadays the cloud services are more reliable. 99.9999%, it's completely available and running. It's more mature now. And lack of control, as I mentioned, you don't have much control there, as if on your on-premise servers. And the security, so because when you say cloud, your data and all your information is going to reside somewhere in the internet. Okay, so it's not like keeping the data within your enterprise or within in your network, right? Because it's going to be shared with a different network. So security is a little bit of concern, but there are a lot of compliance and the other measures have been taken care by the cloud service providers. They ensure they are safeguarding your data. There are a lot of other security configuration measures also there. But in general, so the security is another uh, a bit like the downside or a con of a cloud computing. So who are all the different cloud service providers we have in the market? So I was talking about the three different categories, right? Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. If you look at infrastructure as a service, the AWS, Amazon Web Services, is one of the key player in the market. And they have a lot of market share currently. And apart from AWS, the other popular players in this segment is Azure, Google Cloud Platform, and we also have offerings from IBM and Oracle, IBM Cloud and Oracle Cloud, and there are a lot of other cloud offerings also there, Rackspace and SAP, so like that. But out of this, these three are very prominent one. AWS, Windows Azure, and GCP are very prominent for a public cloud service, right? And these two, IBM Cloud and Oracle Cloud, they are like more related to like if you want to running any IBM products, so that will be hosted on IBM Cloud. Any Oracle products, Oracle databases or Oracle applications, that they'll kind of offer it over Oracle Cloud. Okay, then when it comes to the platform as a service, so who are all available? Force.com, they're providing a platform as a service. And we have another player like Cloud Foundry. So they are very popular in providing a platform as a service. Using a Cloud Foundry, I can able to build a Node application or a Java application, .NET, the different type of application. They can able to provide an instance with all the pre-configured runtime, right? And from AWS, we got AWS Elastic Beanstalk. This offers a platform as a service. And from Google, we have a Google App Engine. And Heroku is another popular player in this. So Cloud Foundry and Heroku is being widely used as a platform as service. And when it comes to the SaaS model, so for getting a ERM, CRM applications, CRM solutions, Salesforce is a very prominent one. And Zogo, they are offering all the complete the applications required to run your enterprises, right, from ERP, CRM, HR, payroll, accounts, everything over SaaS model. And Google offers and Office 360, Adobe Creative Cloud. So all those things are SaaS offerings. And when it comes to AWS, Uh, AWS basically offers all these different type of computing model, right from IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And but it's being very widely used for IaaS model, infrastructure as a service, right? They are also capable of providing PaaS and SaaS models, right? So let's try to understand what is AWS. So Amazon Web Service is a secure cloud services platform offering compute power, database storage, networking, and content delivery and other functionality to help business scale and grow. In nutshell, they are basically offering the computing, the storage, networking, and the databases and the required security for safeguarding all these resources over the cloud platform, and can be accessible over the internet, and you can able to just use and pay as you go or pay as per your usage, right? Let me get in. Let me get in here. Yeah. So this is like the spectrum of different type of services which AWS offers, right? So they are offering a set of compute services and storage services, networking services, and the administrative services, and like a migration services, so and developer tools and big data services. So there are so many services out there, but out of this, the overall category is going to be, it's being divided into like your core services. The core services is going to be a compute service, a storage service, and networking service. So these three, or we call it as a foundation services: compute, storage, and networking. Right. So these, the combination of these three, compute, storage, and networking, will help you to create the virtual machines, virtual instances, and enables to provide you IaaS, infrastructure as a service offerings, right? And on top of that, they also provide a lot of administration and security services, like the identity management, monitoring, and management, access control. So you have a set of core services and the administration and management security services, and we have a different platform services. In the platform services, if I want to build a big data related application, I have a bunch of big data related services. If I want to build a machine learning or any artificial intelligence related applications, you have a bunch of services. If I want to build a mobile application or do any mobile computing, I have a bunch of services here. Or if I want to automate my DevOps pipeline, a complete the DevOps pipeline, I want to like automate it. So we have a bunch of services to do that. So automating the DevOps pipeline. And similarly, like if I want to kind of have a messaging service. So messaging is like if multiple applications needs to exchange the informations between each other, you have a like a messaging service, as well as the notification service, and you also have an email service. There are a bunch of services which is available. So on a broader term, you have a core services and administration security services and platform services, right? And all these things are going to be there on top of your AWS infrastructure. The bottom is going to be AWS infrastructure. So in a nutshell, what they're basically doing is they have a, a network of data centers across the globe. Okay, so they have around, so now it's more, the current number is going to be 24. So they have 24 geographic regions across the world, and each geographic regions is going to have multiple availability zones. Okay, so you can think of, so in India we have one geographic region called in Mumbai. Okay, so what does it mean? When you're going to create my VM, I can choose which geographic region I want to create. So depends on that, all your resources will be created and managed there. And in that particular region, we have a bunch of availability zones. So availability zone is nothing but a data centers. In Mumbai, we have 3 data centers. Why 3 data centers? So when I'm going to create a VM in Mumbai region, if one of the data center goes down, and I will not lose my VM. My VM should still keep running, right? So they ensure that redundancy, the high availability of my machine or the VM which I'm creating. So for that, they actually providing multiple availability zones. So in general, every region will have at least two availability zones. So some of the region will have more than two as well, right? So in the AWS global infrastructure, you have a regions and availability zones. So regions is nothing but geographic locations consist of at least two availability zones, and the availability zones is nothing but cluster of data centers. So isolated from failures in other availability zones. Even in one of the availability zone goes down, the other will still intact and will be available. That will be attached to the same region, right? So let me stop it here and let me quickly come back for a quick demo. If I'm going to work with AWS, I think we are your time. Just give me 5 more minutes, then I will park it for a Q&A session. So I'm actually getting into the AWS portal. So if you go there, so you have to create an account first here. Okay, so I already have an account. If you need to create an account by yourself, it's pretty easy. All you required is any valid credit or debit card. You don't need to worry. They will not charge. There is a free tier available. For 1 year, we can get a free tier, right? So I'm going to access this management console. So I already have an account. In case if you want to create account, you just follow this option, create a new AWS account, and it will ask you some details. Like for creating an AWS account, you need a unique email ID, and you can just set up a password, okay, and a display name for your AWS account. So I already created. So let me just showcase that steps which is there. So you just need to enter this email detail and the password, and so once you provided this information, it will actually ask you to fill some more information related to, like, the account type. You can either choose a personal or a professional. So I prefer, for a learning purpose, you can go with the personal. For a like a business usage, we can go for a professional. But for you guys, when you're going to create, you just go as a personal account. Just provide this information, the account name and your address and other information. Then the next step is going to be payment. So what they do is they just need to verify, you need to provide your debit or credit card details in order to ensure, to authorize you have like a valid debit or credit card. So what they do is they will debit 2 rupees and they will refund that rupees in 1 or 2 days, right? So you don't need to worry about providing the details. So at any point in time, you can able to edit or remove those informations later once your account is registered. You provide your debit and credit card details. Okay, then once the details are provided, you will be getting a OTP. You just enter that OTP. Then your account identity will be verified. Like after your payment is made, so they will actually send a OTP, the verification code, over a SMS or over a voice call. You can prefer which option you want. When I say text message, SMS, you'll be getting a verification code over a SMS. That verification code, you just enter it here, and once the verification is code is entered, the account is kind of registered. It will be activated. Then you can actually get the you will be getting an option to choose which plan you want. You can go for a basic plan or a developer plan or business plan. For us, you'll go with a basic plan. Then this is an optional step. This is like they will be asking you what is your role. Okay, so your role you can tell like so depends on whether you're a developer or architect or a data analyst, whichever role or what type of service you're going to use. You can select so that they can kind of personalize the service offerings. So that's all. This registration is completed. Then you can come back. So in my case, the registration I already done. So sign into an existing AWS account. So if you just come back here, I can just provide so the username is going to be your email ID. Cloud training at gmail.com. So this will get me to log in into AWS portal. Okay, cool. So now I have an AWS account. I have got an access to the AWS portal. So from here you can check here in the top right top. You can see like I was talking about there are 24 regions we have, right? By default, when we are creating the account from here in India, you'll be associated with the Mumbai region. So if you're creating from a different geographic location, depends on whichever region is associated to you, you'll be associated to that. So currently I'm in a Mumbai region, and your account details you can able to go and verify here. My account. So this is basically the AWS management console, right? And so from here you can keep track of the details about your account details, as well as the bill the usage and the bill amount. So here you can able to get the details about, you can go and edit if you want your contact details, and also you can actually, if you want to close your account at any point in time, you can come here, you can say close account. Okay, then if you go to the services, so this is the services page I was talking about. We have different kinds of services, out of which the core service is going to be compute. So these are the different compute services are there, right? Then we have a storage services. Then we have a networking services, networking, and we got a migration and transfer. For example, if I want to transfer the data from my on-premise to a cloud, or a cloud to on-premise, these services will be helpful. And if I want to run my database in a cloud, this database services will be helpful. And if I'm going to build any analytics application, these analytics services would be helpful, right? And similarly, like if I want to do a cloud management and governance, these services would be helpful. I think at interest of time, I will park it here. So this just gives a very high level overview about what is a cloud computing and what is AWS and what are the different services are there. How do you register account, get inside the AWS account? I think the coming webinars will talk about computing specific services, computing service, storage, and networking. So let me park it here and hand it over to Nippon before getting into a Q&A session. Let me stop my screen share. Hi Nipa, over to you.
Yeah. Hi, Saravana. Hi, everyone. So, I hope everyone have liked the webinar. So, I'll just share my screen for I'll just share my screen for a moment. Yeah, hope everyone is able to see my screen. Sarang, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, able to see, but I think there is some noise, background noise.
Okay. Okay. So, I guess everyone would be waiting for the recording links, webinar recording links. So for your convenience, what we have done is this is the page that we have created, and we are going to put everything over here, all the details about the webinar. So we will soon be uploading the details of the webinar that we just now concluded. We will be posting the link here, and also we also have a Facebook page. If you click here, you will be led to our Facebook page where you can find all the latest recordings and also the link to this webinar that was held just now. And I'm just I'll just ping the webinar link here. Everyone, you can please save it. And apart from that, we are also having a full-fledged training which we will be running from September 5th to September 27th. So if anyone would be interested to join for the training, then here are the details for the training as well on the same page. And we are giving it for a discounted price of 4,956. And here you can get the you can see the download button. You can download the course content, go through the course content in detail before you can actually decide on it. And we also have the enroll button from where you can do the registration and make the payment. And for any questions that you have, we also have given a phone number and an email ID here of Mr. Kumar. You can reach out to him anytime if for any questions regarding the webinar or for the training. So, so we will be uploading the training links here. We would be having four webinars in this series for AWS. The next webinar would be on 20th August and at the same time. So this
Uh,
is all I wanted to say.
I think a lot of participants having a trouble in hearing your voice. I think they were complaining about the screen stuck, unable to hear. Maybe you can just post this link over the chat. They can just
Okay,
go through.
I have shared the link actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you, Nipo, for this details. And guys, before dropping off, so just I want to spend some time. If you have any specific Q&A related to the topics discussed today, I'll just open it for 5 minutes. We'll just have a quick Q&A session. And just to give a heads up, so there are three more webinar sessions going to come up. So today we just started with what's cloud computing and what is the AWS. And in the coming session, we are going to focus on one session is going to be on what is the cloud computing. So basically how to do the cloud computing with AWS. And we are going to talk about the compute services. The other session, we are going to talk about the storage services. The other session, we are going to talk about the networking services. So that's all going to be more of a hands-on and live session, right? I'll just park it here. I'll just open it for a questions. Yes, yes, Deepak. Uh, I think you guys can post your questions over the chat.
ಹಲೋ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಕಣ ಹಲೋ
Hello.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ನನಗೆ ಹಲೋ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಮಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮುಂದೆ
Sorry, I think there is some noise coming. All right. Yes, Sasidhar, the session has been recorded. I think that's what Nipa from SkillUp Right was giving an overview earlier, that the links will be available on a web page. The web page link has been already shared. You can access this recording from there.
ಎರಡು ಇಂಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ, ಒಂದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಡಾಟಾ ರಿಪೀಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ಪುನಃ ಒಬ್ಬರು
And
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ
Suman, am I not audible?
ನಂದು ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಡಾಟಾ ಫಿಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ.
I think. So Nipo, can you please mute everyone? I think I hear some background noise.
Yeah.
Please mute everyone. I will just open the questions only over the chat.
Okay.
So guys, regarding the recording session, yes, you will be getting the links. I think the link is already shared over the chat, or you will get it over the email, I suppose. The session has been recorded. You can able to access. Okay. And Swati has some question. I have created the account and used for 2 months. What will happen if I don't use this account for next 2 years? Do I need to pay? Swati, like actually you don't need to pay until unless you don't run any instances or not consuming any resources. For example, they offer a free tier for 1 year, and there are few services going to be available as a free or for a lifetime. So it depends on which services you are using, the charge will be based. Basically, if you're just using only the free tier services, and for 1 year, no charges. If you're using any other non-free tier services, yes, there will be a charge. But otherwise, you can keep your account open for multiple years also. As long as you're not using, there will be no charges associated to that. And I hope now the audio should be fine. Let me look out any other questions so there. Is the webinar link same for the all session? Yes, I think you would have received the calendar, webinar calendar, and in that you can just access whatever the link you get. I think from SkillUp, right, you already received the recordings link. You can actually go through that. Okay, and let me see any other questions. What is the data that the cloud provider provides in a SaaS model? So that's the data here represents basically the application data. So if I'm going to have a CRM or ERP application, the data which I'm going to store as part of that. So that basically they segregated an application plus data. So the data can be stored in a database. The database would be managed by the cloud provider or a SaaS provider. Okay. I think that's a question from Madil. And administration and security service is under IaaS. That's another question we got. So so I would say administration and the security service is basically there as part of IaaS. So from a AWS stack perspective, if you look at the administration security itself, a different set of AWS services you get. So normally when I'm going for a IaaS service offering, I need to ensure to make use of the AWS security or administration services to provision the resources. Okay, so in a nutshell, administration security service also being associated with the IaaS, but that's going to be a separate segment of services which you get in AWS stack. Okay, I think some of you are looking for what are the career options you may get. I think some of you from different platforms, right? Like some coming from a development, some coming from a the infrastructure platform. So let me quickly share my screen for a couple of minutes. I'll just give you an overview about what are the different career paths you may get. Let me give a moment. Okay, let me share this. See, so with AWS, as I mentioned earlier, cloud computing is a generic one. AWS is one of the cloud provider. So like AWS, you have a lot of other players, Azure and Google Cloud Platform also there. But out of this, AWS is very prominent and more matured, and Azure also is a very strong competitor to AWS. If you are planning to pursue a career with AWS, right? What are the different career options we get? So we may just be there as a cloud developer, AWS cloud developer, or so that is something like you'll be just making use of the AWS services, and you'll do cloud application development and deploy it in the AWS. So that is one area of the career option, AWS developer. The other option is the administration side. So you'll become a AWS administrator or a DevOps engineer. So where you'll be managing the AWS clouds for the different application teams, the project teams, right? So one is the development track, the other one is the administration track. Then we got like if you're like an architect, so you're going to build a different solutions. So the other track is going to be a solution architect track or architect track. So where you'll be kind of possibly provide a different solutions related to the cloud deployments using AWS cloud deployment, how to load balance the application, how to auto scale the application, how do you secure, how to build an application and deploy it into AWS cloud, which will be highly secured and load balanced, auto scaled. Okay, so all those the different solution offerings will be providing as part of this. And apart from that, there are specialty roles. Like you can actually build, if I'm looking to build a big data application using AWS, you can be a AWS big data developer or a AWS big data expert. Or if I'm looking more on a security side, so is AWS certified security. Okay, so if you become a security expert on AWS, you can just work on securing the AWS clouds, okay, or configuring the advanced networkings in the AWS. So basically, if you see, the track's going to be a development track or the administration track and the solution architect track. So these three, the developer, operations, and architect. For all these things, the foundation is going to be the cloud practitioner. So if you choose any of this track, developer track or operation or architect, that foundation is going to be a understanding about what is AWS cloud and what are the different services are there, how those things are working. Once you got this foundational understanding, from here you can choose any of this track, developer track, operation track, an architect track, or a specialty track. Okay, so on a developer track, so there is a certification. So for a foundation track, you have a cloud practitioner certification, and a developer track, you have a AWS certified developer, and on operation track, you have a AWS certified sysops administrator or certification, and you also get a solution architect. So the certification wise, we have three different categories: foundational certification, associate certification, professional certification. So this is something for like a beginners. So all the people who are getting inside the AWS cloud platform. So first we need to have cloud practitioner. Then you can be an either a developer, sysops administrator, or solution architect. This is an associate level. Then in this, the professional level, the professional certification is going to be AWS certified professional solution architect or AWS certified professional DevOps engineer. This is more expertise certification. And the specialty course is going to be AWS certified big data developer or AWS certified networking engineer or AWS certified security expert or AWS certified machine learning and Alexa skill. So these are the different specialty. From like the people who are coming from a development background, So the certification, so this particular track will be more relevant for them, AWS developer. So the people who are already like an architect level or building solutions, so for them, this track would be more relevant. The people who are coming from a infrastructure background, okay, then the SysOps or DevOps, this certification will be more relevant. Or the people who are going to build a machine learning or a big data or the networking background, these specialty lines would be more relevant. So if I just so I'm coming from a testing background, or I'm coming from a business analyst background, or I'm coming from like a non-programming background, you don't need to worry. All you need to do is just understand this cloud practitioner. So you need to become a cloud practitioner first, then we can choose any of this particular path. Depends on how you want to make your career. Okay, so there are a lot of opportunities in the AWS cloud and the job market currently, and it's one of the very hot skill that people are looking for. And these are the different career options we get. Okay, let me come back here. All right, I think we are running out of time. Maybe I'll quickly take a couple of more questions. Pivotal Cloud Foundry versus AWS for Spring Boot microservices application. So as I mentioned, Pivotal Cloud Foundry is basically providing a PaaS, platform as a service offering. Okay, whereas the AWS is a generic cloud platform. In AWS, if I am looking for a PaaS service, there is something called Elastic Beanstalk. So what you need to compare here is Pivotal Cloud Foundry versus AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Out of this, which is better? Or if I'm going for a AWS EC2 instance, so I can just build a Spring Boot application and deploy there. So I think that comparison here is not exact. So we need to compare Pivotal Cloud Foundry versus AWS Elastic Beanstalk with the Spring Boot support, or Pivotal Cloud Foundry versus AWS EC2 instance. Okay, so out of this, so the AWS Elastic Beanstalk, it almost provides the similar functionality what Cloud Foundry offers. Okay, so if you need more control, we can just go for AWS EC2 instance and you can deploy everything. But otherwise, AWS, if you are looking for AWS stack, AWS Elastic Beanstalk will offer what are the Pivotal Cloud Foundry offers. Out of this, which one better? So if you are building your application with a lot of other supplementary services, all those supplementary services you can get it from AWS. So if you're planning, if I'm going to build my application more of AWS centric or a cloud centric, so all the cloud centric services you can get from AWS. From that perspective, the AWS deployment would be preferable compared to the other one, if you're like planning to use the other services which AWS offers and relevant for you, right? Then what programming skills do we need to have to use AWS? As I mentioned, for learning this foundation part, right, you don't need a programming skills. It's all self-service. So that portal which I was showing, right, so you can able to just get registered an account, get access to that. We can do everything through a configuration. You don't need to really do a programming. Okay, so AWS can be used by both programmers and as well as the non-programmers. So it's more of a configuration driven. If you are coming from a programming background, you have a separate SDKs available, AWS Java SDK or AWS like a .NET SDK, JavaScript SDK, like that. So whatever we do from the portal, I can also do it from programmatically, so that I can automate a lot of things, creating the instance or creating the storage space, everything I can able to do programmatically as well. But the people who are coming from non-programmatic background, no worries, you can do everything through a configuration. You don't need a programming knowledge as such to learn about AWS. But the people who are coming from a programming background, there is the SDKs are available. You can able to do all those things what you're doing from a AWS management portal through the program as well. Okay. Can I migrate Oracle database to AWS? Absolutely, yes. There is a migration service which is available. I can host this Oracle database in AWS, and I can able to easily migrate. It's possible. And will there be detailed sessions on CI/CD, EC2, EBS? Yes. So EC2, EBS, all those things will be covered in the coming webinar sessions. The compute and storage as part of that. CI/CD may give a very high level overview. Will not get in deep on that. Okay. Difference between root login and IMA login. Okay, so for now, like the root login is more like the administrator login. So I can create an AWS account with that administrator privilege. When you log in as a root user, you are like an admin account. Then on this account, I can create multiple users, and each user I can provision a different control. Like one user, I can just provision only to work with the storage service. Other user, I can just provision to work only with the compute service. So the different access I can able to provide. The moment you are going to log in as a root user, you are an admin user. Later, like there is a separate security services which is available, which will help you to create the AWS IAM users with specific access control, and so that I can have one AWS account with for my team. Okay, the team of 10 people, and each of them will be granted with the login access with a different access control. So that is IMA login. When you say IMA login, so that is nothing but the user which is having a specific access control. Root login is like a admin user. All right. I think the interest of time, let me start the session here. Maybe I'll just note down some of these questions. I'll try to address in the next webinar session. And meanwhile, you can actually keep your questions, maybe share those questions in the next sessions. We can try to address that. And meanwhile, I would request you guys to please create a AWS an account. So you can also try to parallelly practice with me in the next session once you have this account. Okay, all you need to do is just access to this. I will just share this link. So from this link, you can able to create an account. Okay, if you go there, I think if you already have an account, it will show login back. This option will come. If you don't have an account, here you'll get a create account option. Okay, so you just follow the steps which I was discussing. It's more of a self-explanatory. If you just start with your unique email ID and follow the wizard, you will get through the account registration. You just create an account and just explore the billing and other services which is there. Probably in the next session, I'll just give details about how you can create a EC2 instance and configure the instance, like how to create a Windows EC2 instance or Linux EC2 instance. How do you access that? So those things we will discuss in the next session. Until then, so bye from you guys. And before that, I just want to hear a quick feedback about today's webinar. Before you guys leave, please drop a quick feedback on how do you find today's session, and any suggestions or improvements also welcome. I'll try to take care in the next session. So administration, yes guys, I already explained that part. So it doesn't mean it's not secured. What we are trying to say here is the cloud is basically stores the data over the internet, right? When you're going to have your data center, that means your own set of servers and the machines, entire data resides within your enterprise itself. It's not being available outside at all. What AWS does is, even though your data stores in the cloud, in the internet, they are actually providing a very stringent access control. Apart from the authorized users, others cannot access. So there are a lot of security measures are in place to safeguard the data. But in general, the data is resides outside your network. That is the only difference. But otherwise, there are a lot of safeguarding measures are there to safeguard the data. In some of the companies where they're going to store a lot of banking details or a lot of personal details, people prefer to store the data in their network due to a lot of regulatory and compliance um, uh, requirements. So that's where they will try to have a private cloud, or keep the data in their premise. Okay, so they just little uh, skeptical about storing the data in the cloud. So only in that particular aspect I was talking about. It doesn't mean it's not secured. It is secured, only your data is not within your network. It's there in someone else's network, but it's accessible only by you. That's safeguarding the ensuring. Okay, with respect to the virus, ransomware, and attacks, those things will be taken care by the AWS service provider guys. So it's like the entire network and the operating system upgrades and everything managed by them. So they will ensure. So it basically like, if I'm going to avail a PaaS service, they will completely manage everything. You don't need to worry about running the antivirus softwares and safeguarding your application and everything. Apart from that, specifically for safeguarding this kind of virus attacks or any intrusions, there are set of other security services are there. Some firewall services and anti-intrusion detection services and all those things are there. When you are going to use those services and configure with the AWS cloud, it completely safeguards your application. All right. I think in the interest of time, I'm signing off now. I'm going to catch you and connect with you in the next session. Um, and before that, you may leave a quick feedback. And thanks a lot for your participation, guys. And all the best for your learning.